the world is on track for a ghastly future. That is what a group of international scientists is now warning. They say that accelerating climate change and biodiversity loss is threatening to kill all of the planet's species unless world leaders face up to the challenge and act urgently. The scientists are citing around 150 studies describing how the environment is changing, and they claim that conditions are far more dangerous than currently believed by civilians and scientists alike. Well, we have the executive director of ActionAid USA, Niranjali Amarasinghe, joining us from Washington. So break down what the main concerns of these scientists are for the environment.
Yeah, so for decades, scientists have been warning us about environmental devastation, whether it's air pollution, ocean pollution, loss of forests, loss of biodiversity, and increasing climate change. And what these scientists have done is to put together all of this research and tell us that the impacts that we think are going to happen are more dire than imaginable. They talk about how we are in a sixth mass extinction. We have already lost so much biodiversity. We've already seen climate disruption, and these things are only going to get worse. And we need to reckon with that. And world leaders really haven't reckoned with it sufficiently. They've been focused on economy and keeping currency strong, but are missing the biggest threat to our survival, which is the loss of a biosphere that is capable of sustaining human life.
Right. I mean, the economy doesn't matter if we don't have an Earth, right? So
exactly.
What kind of action are they urging governments around the world to take at this point?
So what's really interesting about their analysis is, and it's consistent with what we have seen in our work, is the need for system-level changes. They're saying we need fundamental changes to global capitalism, to education. We need to grapple with inequality that often can be a driver in this context. So they're saying we need to abolish the idea of perpetual economic growth. We need to exit fossil fuels, move to renewable energy sources. We need to rein in corporate power and the influence they have on decision makers. We need to empower women. And these are big system level changes. I would add to that, that we also need to look at responsibility and demand more of the countries that are most responsible for these crises. The United States is a good example. The world's largest historical greenhouse gas emitter has done very little to address climate change. We need to demand that they do their fair share and they take bold action and help other countries that are trying to address this crisis as well.
Is it too late for us at this point? I mean, this is a question that I always ask myself because we hear these reports over and over again, yet very little seems to be being done.
So the sad reality is that for some communities and for some ecosystems, it is too late. Right? The biodiversity that we have lost is lost. The communities that have already had to leave their homes and their livelihoods because of climate disruption, they're not getting that back. But on a planetary it isn't. And what scientists are saying is that we do have this window to take action. We have to act fast because the kinds of transitions we need are going to take time. But now is the moment, right? We have a precious window to try to avoid potential planetary collapse.